Hello and welcome back to the podcast that will definitely get away with murder. Welcome back to another episode of the Love, Death and Movies podcast, internet's number one film breakdown and a review show, the show that crosses watch lists week after week. Every month is a different genre, every week is a different film in the genre. So follow us on everything, join us on the ride, and let's watch some movies. With me, of course, Pride of the West Coast, Queen of the West, Ash First Movies. Ash, how you doing? How's your week been? How's your last 30 minutes been? Because we're bulk recording spoilers.
Gonna say, are you for real right now?
Yeah,
Because I look the exact same as I did before.
amen.
The last 30 minutes was wonderful. I had some pepperoni pizza, some Caesar salad, and now I've got me a cold one.
Oh, close. Yeah, nice. Love that. Yeah, we're at different times at the moment. It's now midday for me. What time's it there?
7 p.m.
Okay, that's not that bad. It's not bad at all. But you're in the
No,
past. I'm in the future. There's a lot of
I
stuff
am.
that's changed. A lot of stuff that's changed.
Tell me about the future, Harry.
Crazy. That's all I gotta say. It's nuts. It's nuts. It's nuts.
Always is.
Tell me about your like pizza wise. Do you do like more thinner crust or do you like a thick boy? What do you do?
I don't specify the crust. It just comes as it is. But this place that we get it from, it's like a little local pizza shop. They do it's crispy, but it's a little bit of like a fatter crust, but I wouldn't call it like thick crust. It's just like standard, but they kind of like roll it forward. And so the sauce goes all the way under and then like the
Mmm.
crust is rolled up. So there's like sauce inside the crust
Oh.
and yeah, it's good. And then just like cheese and pepperoni. And then I put cheese and peppers on it, but I air fry it when it's left over. This was from last night's pizza. So I air fried it. So crispy, so good.
Oh.
It's the only way to eat reheated pizza.
That sounds actually fucking delightful, Ash.
Yeah.
Like, we spoke this in the previous episode. I'm as dusty, and well, that's what Australians call hungover. I'm as dusty as I was then, but now I'm in the mode, like, because I don't really get headaches or anything like that whenever I get hungover. Sorry, we'll get into the fucking 80-minute movie about two blokes killing a guy in a sec. I don't really get, like, headaches when I get hungover. I more just get, my stomach feels full and I just feel like I'm like a stone. That's kind of how I feel and just feel a bit unwell, which to be honest, the start of the last episode did feel like that. But now I'm like, fuck, I'd kill for some pizza right now.
Just have some pizza
And
after
maybe,
this.
so peppers, is that just like capsicum in America?
Oh, peppers is just like they give you like a little pack of it's just red pepper flakes.
Oh, I'd fucking love that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we got that. We put I put chili flakes on everything. So
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean like actual peppers. You can get obviously like green peppers or something like that, but no,
I'd
just
put that on pizza. I like that
yeah,
on pizza. That's
yeah.
good. Well, what's some toppings that aren't allowed on pizza? Do you think? Are you a pineapple?
I'm not.
No, I'm not either. But like, I wouldn't like if it's at a, if there's a box of ham and pineapple Hawaiian pizza, at a party, I'm not gonna be like, not gonna have a slice.
Yeah.
But I would never
Yeah.
order it.
That's a good point. Yeah, like Adam gets the chicken barbecue, and that one has
Oh,
chicken, barbecue, pineapple, and bacon. And see, that sounds good when it's all mixed with that stuff.
that's
But I don't
fine.
know.
That's not
Yeah.
that's not prison for life.
No.
He can get away for that one. That's fine.
Yeah. Yep.
Speaking of getting away, Ash, we're continuing our month on with Alfred Hitchcock, also known as Alfie Hitchy, which he's very much well known for. We're going through every movie of these you haven't seen. So this is another first time watch for you. We're reviewing Rope, Ash, which is his film that was like, what, 81 minutes long? It's insane amount. I don't have my tab open for Rope, but it's okay. I'll get it open. Oh my God, I Googled rope and it's just where to buy the closest pieces of rope. Great work.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's 80 minutes long on the dot,
Mhm.
which I think is fantastic. This movie is so unique. It's also Sir Alfred Hitchcock's first colour film. So this was made in 1948, directed by Hitchy. Quick synopsis: the guest who's dead on time. Two men attempt to prove they committed the perfect crime by hosting a dinner party after strangling their former classmate to death. So Ash, let me know what you think of Rope. This is the first time you watched this. This is also the first time I've watched this. This is the first watch. Sorry, my phone is blowing up. Last night was huge for our fucking city. So everyone's checking in with me. But I will not be answering, but if you hear a vibration, that's just what it is. Ash, what do you think of Rope?
I appreciate that you prioritize the pod over
I'm not
over.
answering, but just in case, I'll answer it after. It's just in case you hear a vibration, you're not going insane, people. That is on our end.
I mean, we might be going insane, but not related.
Oh, yeah.
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 Yeah, rope. So the thing we're here to talk about. Yeah, this was the movie that I think I told you I anticipated would be my favorite, and it is so far. So I was right.
Mm,
And it's not just because I said it. I actually feel it too.
don't doubt you.
I I don't know what it is about a movie that is shot like in one continuous take.
Very impressive.
I know that this movie is not technically done that way. There are a couple scenes where it kind of zooms in on someone and kind of comes back out. I don't think those must be where they took breaks in the camera. But movies that are shot to look like they're one continuous take or that actually are work so well for me. I just find it so easy to get like entranced into it and just follow along. It very much feels like a play. Because when you're in a play, there's constantly characters coming in and out of rooms and doorways, and like you have to be on. Like every character has to be in character the entire time.
Hmm.
You can't turn it off. And it's just like you just kind of go, go, go. And I really, really enjoy movies like that. And I enjoy plays. So this one to me definitely fit the bill for both of that, which I really loved. But on top of that, the story, such a tight little narrative, tight script, really witty, very sassy dialogue, which I just absolutely love. Brandon is just such a fun character.
He is, isn't he? He's so arrogant.
He's so arrogant, so fantastic. I just love it. Philip's a great like balance between that confident, like arrogant character and the one who's clearly very worried and paranoid about everything. And then you mix in James Stewart as Rupert, and it's just like this perfect little grouping of guys. And I think it's fantastic. And even the little side characters like the dad and the aunt and Janet, she's fantastic. I love her. She has some really funny lines as well. But yeah, just some great characters, tight little script, and a setting that I really enjoy. Hitchcock loves apartments.
He
I'm learning
does.
that.
He does.
But yeah, I really loved this movie. I really thought that I would because the concept seemed interesting to me. I think that the suspense in this one might be lower than some of the other movies we've watched, but I still think I liked it the most just because of the dialogue and the type of storyline that it was. I just found it to be really fun. I just had a lot of fun watching it, to be honest.
Oh yeah. No, I echo everything you say. I don't think it's my favorite, but I love it. I think this movie's
Mhm.
great. I think this is made in the 40s,
Yeah.
which is insane to think. And the way that he was able to like shoot this in a way that it comes off as one take, it's great. It's a very it's like it's a tough thing to do technically, but it's also an incredibly tough thing to do like on a script. You
Yeah.
know, like to keep the entire story happening within 80 minutes of real time, because this film is filmed in real time and it's a single camera on a one act stage and it's made to appear as if it's one seamless shot, which it's not filmed in
Mhm.
one shot, of course, but like yeah, all the zoom ins, but you see that in the same as like in 1917 is filmed as if it's one shot,
I
and
haven't seen
there's all these like one like you can kind of see them of like they go through like they turn a corner and it goes through like a dark alleyway for a second, and that's where the cut is, stuff
that.
like that.
Hmm.
So they hide the cuts. Same with Birdman, they do the exact same thing there. I think it's just very, very like very impressive filmmaking. But to do this in the 40s, it's even more impressive. But just to keep it all on one page of or one like location for that amount of time, I think is very impressive in terms of writing. But that's Hitchcock. He loves making these movies out of like they seem like plays, and they're just very good. I agree. I think that it's another one of those things. It's like you're not finding out the murderer. This entire suspense is, are they going to be caught?
Yes.
Like, which I think is really cool. I love that idea if that's what the mystery in a way is of this entire film is, can they get away with it? Because they think they've committed this perfect murder. Which, is it a perfect murder? They just strangled a bloke and put him in a cabinet. like,
I think that's where this one I think reminds me a lot of Dial M for Murder in a sense, where you have that main character who's very confident about their plan.
yeah,
I think the way Brandon portrays himself is a bit more entertaining than our character there, but it's a similar type of mindset where he has convinced himself that this plan is so great, and he like wants to show it off. He wants to have this party and put the food on the case where he is. Like he wants to show people that he did this thing and they'll have no clue what's
exactly.
actually in there. So I think that's the really intriguing part about his character is that you kind of hate him, but you
Yeah.
also kind of love how committed to the bit he is of getting away with this.
Absolutely. Unreal. This is an 80-minute film, so this episode's probably going to be a lot shorter than our other episodes, which it's fine. Like, this movie's just like it's just a couple of conversations the entire film,
Yeah.
which is so sick to think. But let's start off. I'm going to start off. I know you like facts, Ash. I'm going to make
Oh,
this one a little bit more fun. Not for everyone, but for us, yes. Since the filming since the filming times were so long, everyone on set tried their best to avoid any mistakes. At one point in the movie, during the first take scene, the camera dolly accidentally ran over and broke a cameraman's foot, but kept filming. He was gagged and dragged off the soundstage. Another time, a woman put her glass down but misses the table. A stagehand had to rush and catch it before the glass hit the ground. Both parts are used in the final cut. That is unreal. All for the art. How about that? Guy's
the
broken
art
his
help
foot.
though.
He's about to scream and he gets muffled and dragged away. All
That's
right.
insane.
Yeah, that's absolutely nuts because this whole film was filmed in 8 days. Which is actually a lot longer than I thought it was. I thought it was only going to be a couple, but I guess there's a lot of rehearsals and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But in terms of like, I didn't even look up the budget for this. What do you think the budget is for this? It's got to
This
be
one
low.
can't be too high. It's got to be so low. Less than 1 million. I could be
It's
wrong.
1.5. It's
How is Rear Window the
yeah,
lowest so far? My brain
that's
cannot.
that's crazy. But the box office is
Not great.
not great. No, it's just under 3 million, so 2.7,
Did
which
you know
is
this one was based on an actual play, though?
I didn't. No, I should have
Oh,
that in
okay.
my
It's based
notes.
on a 1929 play with the same name.
Oh,
So
that makes sense then.
this one had a lot more inspiration, I guess, to pull from, which makes sense why it feels the most like a play. And given the one take look,
Yeah,
would be kind of weird to do an actual play adaptation and not shoot it that way.
that's
So
very true. Nice. Well, let's get into the film, Ash. Two brilliant young brainiacs, Brandon and Philip, strangled to death their former classmate from Harvard University, David, in their apartment. So we can assume they're in a relationship, right? The
yeah.
Brandon and Philip. I got that real quick. Yeah, cool.
Mhm.
They commit the crime as an intellectual exercise. They want to prove their superiority by committing, quote, the perfect murder. Philip is the one who strangles David with a piece of rope, while Brandon restrains David until he dies. After hiding the body in a large antique wooden chest, Brandon and Philip prepare to host a dinner party at the apartment, which has a panoramic, there we go, view of Manhattan skyline. Brandon decides to use the chest containing the body as a buffet table for the food just before the housekeeper, Mrs. Wilson, arrives to help with the party. Now the fun begins, Brandon says, when the guests first start to arrive. So I'm going to stop, there's going to be periodic stops during this, and there's going to be a lot shorter breaks. What do you think about this beginning? You can totally see it's straight into it. Guy straight away dies, and you can instantly tell that this is just a murder of passion, don't you think? And did you think that at the beginning they're going to get away with it?
Hmm. Only because I didn't know anything about this movie. I would say I kind of did think that,
Yep.
if I'm being realistic, because you don't really know anything about the characters that are showing up, right? Like, you don't know.
I know.
Once you get to know Rupert, you kind of catch on quickly that they're not going to get away with it. But yeah, initially I did think that.
Yeah, nice. It's a sick apartment as well. Do we find out what they do for jobs? We don't do that. It's not really important, I guess.
No, all these people are very rich. That's
They're
kind of
Harvard
the whole
graduates,
story.
right? They're Harvard graduates, so they're probably lawyers or something like that.
They went to prep school, which means that's what they did. That's like when they were talking about prep school with Rupert, I'm pretty sure prep school is like something you do in high school.
Yeah,
Like
oh
I'm
yeah.
thinking like Gossip Girl type of like rich people where they send their kids off to like prep school, almost like boarding school in a sense. And you like live there, almost like in the holdovers too. Like they're in high
Yeah,
school. Yeah. So I think that they actually met this guy in prep school. And that's
that's.
where Rupert comes in as well. But they also went to college together. Yeah. So they're very, very rich.
Have you ever thought to yourself to do the perfect murder, Ash?
I think I'm just gonna give it away like that, Harry. I'm just like,
Yeah, see, that was a
yeah.
test. That was a test. You're pretty damn good. I like this opening. I'm a big fan of when movies just get straight into it, and there's no meeting people because they could have easily made this a 90 100 minute movie, and it's just all about them having discussions of how they're going to do it, and then David arrives and stuff like that. But that's no, that's not the point. The point isn't about the planning of the murder. The point is, can they get away with it?
Right. I
Yeah.
agree completely. I was definitely thinking that. And I think we've talked about this a lot on the pod that we both like movies that just sort of get going and don't really tell you the whole story. And I think this one is a great example of why I got so hooked immediately. There was none of that fluff. It was just like, let's just jump right in. We have no clue why they did it. Is there real motivation? Did this guy do something wrong? It's just no, they just did it. And we're going to watch these two characters kind of unfold and see if they can get away with it, like you said. So
It's
I think it's a great
fluffless.
opening. I loved it.
It's fluffless.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, I like it. I also like how different they are in personality. You automatically see it. You can kind of see that Brandon's very much like on the psychotic side. That
Yeah.
he's very much like he does this because he took some of the, you find out later, he took some of the words from their, what was the name of James Stewart? Rupert.
Rupert?
Yeah. From the words of him of just like murder isn't bad if it's like a superior with an inferior,
Hmm.
and that if the inferior had no like nothing to live for or something like that.
Yep.
But that wasn't Rupert saying that you should murder people. That was him just saying like that the art of murder sort of thing rather than
Hmm.
the actual act of it.
Yes. The art versus the act. Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is a really interesting point to it, to be honest. But yeah, and then like you got Philip's side who kind of just went along with it and immediately regrets it. You can kind of tell as soon as it happens, he
Hmm.
immediately regrets it, which I think's a good comparison because that comparison is going to bring friction and creates a bit of fire by
Yeah.
the end of it.
No, I think it brings friction, but I mean, wouldn't you agree that it also brings like a certain character dynamic where it kind of grounds the movie a bit more? Can you imagine if this was just two psychotic, arrogant guys
They'd
doing
probably
this? You know
get
what I
away
mean?
with it.
Probably, but also it wouldn't be as interesting to
Yeah.
watch. I feel like it makes it more interesting that Philip is like the human element to it. Like he actually feels that remorse and feels fear about people finding out, and it almost creates them getting caught, but it feels more realistic, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, you're right. Absolutely. So the guests who are unaware of what happened include the victim's fiance. This is fucked up, by the way.
Oh yeah.
They bring in not only the fiance
Hmm.
and her former lover Kenneth, by the way. By the way, Kenneth, what a little worm. He's just such a nothing character. Um, who was once David's close friend. Also arriving is the victim's father and chatty aunt, Mrs. Atwater. Shout out. She never looks. Did you notice this? It must just be like the actress's mannerisms or something. She never looks a character in their eyes.
Never.
Whenever she's talking, you'd be like, "Yes, I can't wait. Oh my god, what a lovely apartment. I'm so glad to be here." And you're like, "Okay." She was giving me the heebie-jeebies, if you
It
ask
feels
me.
like a character choice, maybe. Like she kind of had like an overall vibe she wanted her character to have, and maybe it wasn't intentional, but she kind of just was like wacky, the wacky aunt.
Yeah, exactly. I think, but it's kind of fucked up. But at the same time, this is another reason of the crime of passion why they kind of picked David. They must have picked like of course, they picked him for they thought he was inferior to them, of course,
Hmm.
but also to do it while and then parade his body basically in front of everyone that cares for him. I think is it adds to the perfect crime. But it also it adds the kind of like the trophy of it, the like the accomplishment of being able to get away with it. But it also adds way more to the psychotic nature behind
It's
it.
fucked. Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is fucked up. So Brandon and Philip's idea for the murder was inspired years earlier by conversations with their prep school headmaster, publisher Rupert Cadwell, Caudle, Rupert. While at school, Rupert had discussed with them in an apparently approving way the intellectual concepts of an art of murder as means of showing one's superiority over others. He too is among the guests of the party and the last one to arrive, since Brandon in particular feels that he would approve of their quote work of art. So Brandon's subtle hints about David's absence, this annoys me throughout it. He's like, oh, I think he's close by, like things like that, like little things. You're like, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up. It's like this is your first murder. Of like, if they got away with it, I don't think this would have been their last. Or at least not Brandon's. This wouldn't have been their last murder.
Hmm.
But it's just like a shush, 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 shush. Like let's just get through this dinner party and buck off to wherever they were going north, wherever they were going for out for the weekend. But Brandon's subtle hint about David's absence indirectly leads to a discussion on, quote, the art of murder. The self-assured Brandon appears calm and in control, although when he first speaks to Rupert, he is nervously excited and stammering. Philip, on the other hand, is visibly upset and remorse. And yeah. aware that Rupert is the only person who might suspect what they did. Philip does not conceal it well and starts to drink way too much. When David's aunt, Mrs. Atwater, who fancies herself as a fortune teller, tells him that his hand will bring him, quote, great fame, she's referring to his skill at the piano, but he appears to think that it refers to the notoriety of being a strangler. There's no real like massive places to stop here, Ash, but like anything that you can pick up here in terms of the conversation that you can kind of see like Philip's kind of like deterioration and Brandon's like he's more excited about it, and but then Philip's like, we fucked up. It's like they're easily going opposite ends. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, no, it definitely is, and I think it makes complete sense based on how we start the movie with learning, a bit about how their reaction is to it. But yeah, I think you see Philip sort of panicking, and the reality of what he did sets in for him pretty quickly. And I think all the people getting there adds to that overwhelmed feeling of, I think he's creating the narrative in his head that more people know than they actually do.
Yeah.
And so with Mrs. Atwater, it's like she has no clue. But he's taking things out of context that she's saying, and he's kind of running with it. And same with other characters. He's allowing himself to kind of spiral. And then the drinking doesn't help, obviously, with that. He even cuts his hand on the glass, and so he's doing things to himself that are making him seem suspicious, but he's kind of creating that own story in his head that other people are suspecting him when really he's just making himself look suspicious.
Yeah.
You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I did laugh at the scene where she's telling him about his zodiac sign, because my grandma does that exact thing. She will meet somebody and she'll be like, tell me when your birthday is. Do you know what hour you were born? Do you know your moon and your rising sign? Like, I'm not kidding. It's like a real thing. So when I saw that, I was cracking up. I was like, of course, there's got to be somebody in the room that's doing this.
That's Gam.
I love it.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, no, I think the middle chunk of the movie is very much just, Philip kind of crumbling and Brandon really, really feeling proud of himself.
Yeah, I think Philip's crumbling, but Brandon's overdoing it.
Yes, overdoing it's a great way of putting it.
Yeah, because like that's what makes what's her name? Sorry, Jeanette. Yeah, Jeanette and Kenneth suspicious of him because he's overdoing it, and he's obviously saying some stuff, and they're like, we think that you've done something to him, or they say something like, we think that you've held him up on purpose because he's never late to anything. Which, did you see my Letterboxd review? It's like, maybe killing the guy that's notoriously never late to anything might be the bad move. That's probably not the perfect murder. But yeah.
I think that's the whole point, though. The whole irony of it is that, like, nothing about it is the perfect murder, right? Like, it's all in his head that it is the perfect murder. And I love when he's, they're sitting around the little window area and he's kind of quoting Rupert and talking about the murdering, the superiority and all that. I think that's a really good scene where you kind of get a look at every character's face as he's kind of talking, and you're like, God, this guy sounds psychotic. There's no way everyone in this room doesn't think he sounds psychotic. Like when Rupert talks about it, it sounds very like philosophical or very like intuitive, but Brandon's making it a bit too realistic. He, like he said, he's overdoing it. He's almost being a little bit too overzealous to where like it's very obvious that he's done something.
Absolutely.
And I feel like the maid also, she has to know something's off. I feel like she's kind of catching on along the way that something just feels off, like the energy is off maybe with Brandon and Philip, but she's not gonna like question them too much, being kind of like the help, I guess. But she's definitely knows something is.
Yeah, she says at one moment, goes, they definitely woke up on the wrong side of the bed or something like that. Yeah, which absolutely, I like what you said there, like that it's only suspicious because Philip takes it into a different context. Like it's like your hands are going to be going to make you famous, and she's obviously talking about the piano, but he sees that as strangle, so he's being suspicious because he's turning it into a different context, and that he's reacting that way when no one's thinking about shit that way. Like we'll get into the bit about the chickens, but one thing that I thought was I think is undeniable. I think like everyone puts in great performances, like John Dole as Brendan. I thought he was great, but when James Stewart walks onto a fucking set, dominates. Little mannerisms that he does when they're talking, and you can kind of see he's already kind of suspicious, and he's just like he does like little like glances at both of them, and you're like, oh, he's onto them.
Oh yeah, no, he's fantastic in this movie. I think this is my favorite performance of his out of between this and Rear Window. I know that's a crazy take, but because he's more of a side character in this, but The way he delivers his lines is so fantastic. He steals every moment that he's in. And I love the moments when him and Philip start kind of talking like sidebar. You can just tell he's trying to almost figure what's going on because he knows Philip is weak and he can break
That's
him.
it. That's it.
You
Yeah.
know? So I love those scenes.
Because at first you're like, oh, he's just comforting him. You're like, no, that's the crack, and he's found the crack, sort of thing. It's funny you say that because this was the only movie James Stewart made with Sir Alfred Hitchcock that he did not like. Stewart later admitted that he felt he was absolutely miscast as the professor, and some people think that he said that because he makes his first entrance 28 minutes into the film, so he wasn't like the main star of it. But I agree with you. I thought he was fucking awesome in this, and he was kind of just like that. Like he came off that character as like perfectly made for him. So I agree with you. I think James Stewart's kind of like that all-time actor. When we talk about like actor-director duos, I think Stewart and Hitchcock or Alfie Hitchy is up there with like
I
one
had
of
no
the
clue.
best. Yeah,
Obviously, my lack of Hitchcock knowledge, but now I know.
I tell you right now, we're not done with James
I
Stewart
know.
and
Vertigo, right?
AH, which will be good fun. But let's continue. Much of the long conversation, however, focuses on David and his strange absence, which worries the guests. A little later, during the dessert serving, which, by the way, they all eat so fucking quickly. Like, just take a
The
moment.
food looked so bad.
Yeah, and also like I get like the whole like, oh we'll put it in on like we'll do like a buffet serving on the thing. There's a giant dining table. Just sit down and eat some dinner rather than standing around with a plate. I thought that was really fucking weird, but that's just
Well, that's
me.
where Brandon went wrong. He was trying way too hard to make it happen to be in that room. He should have just made it seem like a normal dinner.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. A little later, during the dessert serving, a suspicious Rupert quizzes a fidgety Philip about this and about some of the inconsistencies that have been raised in their conversation. For example, Philip had absolutely denied ever strangling a chicken at the Shaw's farm when Brandon brought it up in a story earlier, but Rupert had personally seen Philip strangle several, which is weird. Philip later complains to Brandon about having had a rotten evening, not because of David's murder, but over Rupert's questioning. So that kind of that sort of line there kind of made me lose a little bit of, I don't want to say respect because they murdered a man, but like the like motive to with Philip's like actions there, because I thought he was just like feeling bad about killing David. But he's like my night is ruined because Rupert's finding out about it. So he's like he's not like feeling guilty about killing a man. He's feeling nervous about being caught. That's how I kind of saw that, and I was like, oh, that's kind of, it's not a bad thing, but it's just like, oh, you piece of shit, like instantly. Because I thought at first he like instantly regretted it, but it was like, no, he was just nervous about being caught. As the evening goes on, David's father and fiance begin to worry that he is neither arrived. Did you hear that? That was a fucking giant horn outside my window. As the evening goes on, David's father and fiancé began to worry that he's neither arrived nor phoned. Brandon increases the tension by playing matchmaker between Janet and Kenneth. Again, Brandon needs to chill the fuck out. Mrs. Kentley calls overwrought because she has not heard from David, and Mr. Kentley decides to leave, as does Janet and Kenneth. Mr. Kentley takes with him some books that Brandon has given her, tied together with some rope Brandon and Philip had used to strangle his son. Stupid. By the way, the best shot of this film is at the beginning when they're just getting ready for the party, and they're like, what are we going to do? He's like, and he has the rope in their hand. He goes, it's just a piece of rope. He's like, every apartment would have it, but I'll go put it in like a drawer or something. And he goes in the kitchen with the swinging door.
Yes.
And he goes in the kitchen, and the door swings back, and he's showing like smiling, and he puts it down
Love
into that shot there is perfect.
Agreed.
But they're giving the books tied together with the rope, and you can see that Philip's like staring at the rope, and I think Rupert kind of catches on there. So when Rupert goes to leave, Mrs. Wilson accidentally hands him David's monogrammed right there, yeah, monogrammed hat, further arousing some of his suspicion. After Mrs. Wilson leaves, Brandon and Philip are relieved that the dinner party is over and they can now move the dead body to their car in the parking garage and transport it to throw it in the lake upstate. So, Ash, before we get into our last part, anything to add here? Any like major parts? Did you think that they were getting away with it? Because I knew that I was watching Rupert. I'm like, there's no way Rupert's letting this go now.
Oh yeah, no, at this point I knew that they weren't going to. I was more just invested in how he was going to come back and kind of treat the situation or I guess approach them about it. But yeah, I mean, I just think throughout this whole movie up until this point, I love the humor. I love the witty banter even
Same.
before everything gets going, like between Brandon and Janet and Janet, Kenneth and Brandon. There's just so much of that which I really loved, which kept me really engaged. But yeah, once Rupert gets there, it's just like a nonstop thrill ride. Like I just thought it was so interesting watching. He's just kind of looking around and even when he's not talking, if you look at like watch James Stewart's character the whole time, just when he's in the room, he's still in character the whole time. He's observing things and it's really cool to watch it unfold. And I love all of like the lines about like creating like art. You know how Brandon's talking about how he wants to be like an artist and almost like how committing this crime can be like a version of creating something. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like he sees it as art and it's psychotic. And he's satisfied with what he's done. And like I think the line's already been said where he talks about how like, nobody commits murder just for the experiment of it except them. Like how this was just a full experiment just to see if they could get away with it.
Yeah.
It's like psychotic. Who just does it for the sake of seeing if they can get away with it, having no prior experience, no real idea if you're going to actually get caught or not. Like just psychotic behavior. I don't know how else to say it. Um, so yeah, I think it's great. I think there's a lot of great dialogue here. And it's really like even though it's a crazy thing that they did, I find it really fun to watch it unfold how panicked
Oh yeah.
Philip gets, like you said, that he's going to get caught. Not that he did it, but that he's going to get caught. And Brandon trying to convince him that it's all going to be fine.
Yeah.
'Cause it's not. It's just not going to be fine.
There's a good scene where he's like they're both at the drink station. He's like, "Ease up, Philip. Ease up."
Yes.
Yeah.
I like their dynamic a lot together. I think they bounce off each other really well. I think them two and James Stewart, all three of those actors do a fantastic job in their characters. Um, and yeah, I love the whole cast. I find it all very entertaining while also being suspenseful enough to where you're just so curious how it's going to unfold. Like I said, they're going to get caught now. So now your mind shifts to how,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So
That's true.
love it.
It's true. Well, Ash, however, Rupert returns to the apartment a short while after everyone has departed, pretending that he's left his cigarette case behind. He hides the case behind some books on the chest, asks for a drink, and then stays to theorize about David's disappearance. He's encouraged by Brandon, which I think's fucked up, but hopes Rupert will understand and even applaud them. A drunk Philip is unable to take it anymore. He throws a glass. I love this. He just fucking breaks, throws his glass, and goes cat and mouse, but which is the cat and which is the mouse? I love that.
So
Then
good.
Rupert produces the rope and rope used and questions them about it. When Philip takes a gun that Brandon had on him and threatens to kill Rupert, when he and Philip struggle, which leads to Rupert disarming Philip, but getting his right wrist grazed by a bullet when the pistol fires towards the ground. Now Rupert lifts the lid off the chest and finds the body inside. I do like how you don't see the body. I know you see it at the beginning of them actually strangling him and putting it there, but I like how you don't see it. You don't need to. You just need to see his reaction. He's horrified, but also deeply ashamed, realizing that Brandon and Philip used his own rhetoric to rationalize murder. Rupert now disavows all of his previous talks of superiority and inferiority, realizing that there is no way to objectively define these concepts, then seizes Brandon's gun and fires several shots out the window in order to attract attention. As approaching police sirens get louder, Rupert pulls up a chair next to the chest while Brandon casually pours himself a drink, and the distraught Philip notes that the police are coming and begins to play the piano a final time as the image fades out and the final end credits appear on screen. That is Alfred Hitchcock's Rope. So Ash, what do you think about this ending? I love this little last scene. I think it's fucking brilliant. I love how he just takes does the shots out the window rather than phones the police or anything like that. I do love that. He's just like, because there could be a scuffle. He fires the shots, it's done. You know, people attention. The one thing they didn't want was attention, because there's a lot of things during this film where they're just like everyone goes out, like all the dinner parties leave, and he's like, we should close the blinds. Like they don't want the attention, which I think is fantastic. What do you think of this ending scene, and what do you think of Rope? Give me a score.
I love this movie. I think when it's just down to the three of them, like the last 20-ish minutes of the movie, I think it's absolutely fantastic. I love that it takes a while for the whole thing to unfold. I love kind of the meticulous planning that Rupert does where he notices the hat. We see him notice the hat. He leaves, comes back, and then he has this whole plan kind of, okay, I'm going to pretend like I left something and then I'm going to kind of see if I can get the information out of them. And, I think the way he approaches it makes it for a much more interesting final scene. I guess you can call it a final scene, but it's quite long, I guess, in that sense. But yeah, I love the way that he sort of, questions them and, kind of makes Brandon understand how dare you take something that I say out of context and like turn it into your own thing to like try to be like this god or try to be this like superior. Who are you to think that you're superior to other people? And like, why is David inferior to you? So I do love that like philosophical aspect of it where he's getting him to understand like you took my words out of context and he really doesn't like that, obviously. And yeah, it kind of escalates quickly, I feel like, to the gun moment and things kind of get a bit hectic.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, you're not expecting him to just shoot it out the window, but I don't remember the whole line he says when he does that, but he like says something to Brandon and then he's like, boom, 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 right after. And
Adios. Something like that.
it's just, yeah, definitely adios.
Yeah.
It's said all the time in 1948 movies.
Ciao, ciao.
But yeah, I think the dialogue here is just really great, and I love kind of like the switch halfway through, like I said, where you kind of at first think maybe they will get away with it, and then obviously you know they're not going to. I love that. Yeah, Rupert doesn't do anything drastic. He doesn't like resort to their level. He doesn't try to shoot them or try to kill them or try to like hold them down. He just like does something that he knows will get attention, like shooting the bullets and then getting police to probably come up and see what happened. I
I've
also
got the quote. The quote is
Oh,
actually
yeah.
it's not adios. It's actually a really good quote.
As I'm saying, it's really good.
What are you gonna do? It's not what I'm gonna do, Brandon. It's what society is gonna do. I don't know what that will be, but I can guess and I can help. You're gonna die, Brandon. Both of you. You're going to die. Pow
Yeah.
pow pow pow
That
pow 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 pow.
that line is probably the best one in the movie. It's fantastic. And the way he delivers it is great. It had me on like the edge of my seat that last like 5 minutes and I loved it. But yeah, I think this movie is fantastic. I think it's a really tight script with great dialogue. I think it's like I said, it's very witty, which I tend to love that type of humor and tone in a movie, especially when it's like a crime movie or like psychological crime movie. I just always love when there's like a witty undertone and banter going on throughout it. I think the characters are great. I think, like I said, Brandon and Philip are a nice kind of contrasting couple, I guess, in the situation. And Rupert's like a really nice addition to be the person who catches them and in this lie and in this murder. And yeah, I think there's just a lot of funny little moments throughout. I'm sure if I watch it again, I'll catch even more lines where you can. Brandon almost gives it away. Like there's even a part where I think it's Kenneth says something about it's almost like it's a birthday or something because like all the celebrating that's going on. And Brandon says something like, "Oh no, Kenneth, it's almost quite exactly the opposite of that. Have some champagne." It's like he's literally telling him like we're here to celebrate a death.
Yeah.
He's coming right out
He
and
keeps
saying
doing
it.
these little lines. You're like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he really thinks that no one's gonna catch on. So yeah, it's just great. Great characters, great acting all around. I love the like I said, the one take. So this is a 4.5 out of 5 for me. It's the first 4.5 I've given to a Hitchcock movie.
Alfie
It's
Hitchy.
my favorite. Alfie Hitchy. It's my favorite so far, and I can definitely see myself watching this one again and again.
I'm curious to see what you think of Vertigo when we get to
Yeah,
Vertigo. But nice. No, I echo everything you say. I'm giving it like a high 4 out of 5. I could see this going to 4.5 on rewatch. I love it. I think it's great. I just fucking love Hitchcock. Closed setting, great. It's super simple. It's short, succinct, contained.
hmm
Performances were brilliant. It's such a it's a simple story. There's so much tension, but again, what I love about it, the mystery isn't about who murdered. It's about can they get away with it, and I think that's done really goddamn well. The way that it's technically made for the 40s is a marvel. I thought it was very very impressive. I think it's a must watch for everyone. I would say. I think this movie's
agreed.
bloody brilliant. But to finish off our month of Hitchcock, which would be next week, which would be Vertigo. We're doing Vertigo, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
forgot which one we're doing. Yeah, Vertigo. So please watch Vertigo for next week. But until the end of the podcast, I was going to do a quick little game. Last week or an hour ago, we did guess the movie with Ash again. So we're doing it again. So Ash, I've got a movie in my mind, and you've got 20 questions to guess it. So Ash, over to you. What do you have for your first question? I'm going to keep track of your questions, so in case you want to reference them back.
Okay. See, I feel like I'd be more sure of where to start if I knew that you were just picking the movie, like in your brain. But if I don't know if you did that or if you like full on just went random. So I feel like I don't even know where to start this time. Let's see.
Yeah. You know, it'd be wild. I haven't done this. If I picked the same movie as last time, that would have been. That'd be mean. That'd be mean. I wouldn't.
That'd be really mean. I'm trying to look at I'm looking straight at my Steelbook and Blu-ray collection. I'm just trying to get a vibe of where my brain's going.
Get a vibe.
My brain is landed on Hot Fuzz. So is it a comedy?
That'd have been great if it was Hot Fuzz. Is it Hot Fuzz? Holy shit. Let me see the genres on Letterboxd.
I feel like if you don't know it's a comedy, then
it's definitely funny. It's the subgenre. It's the second genre. Okay. There is definitely comedic elements, but I wouldn't say it's not like a super bad. Like it's not a comedy, but it's a subgenre. There's funny elements, but I wouldn't say it's a direct comedy film.
Okay. Is it mixed with horror?
No. Okay. No, nothing with horror.
Okay. Are we post 2000?
This was released after the year 2000.
Okay. Post 2000s with some comedic elements. Is it animated?
It is not animated.
Okay.
Good question. If it was animated, it'd be a bit fucked then, I reckon. Well, probably not, because Pixar has like 70.
DreamWorks has a lot of where I feel like there's comedy, but
it would have been Trek too, if
it would have to be. I like the question of do I really like it? So do I give it a 4 or more?
Just double checking. I'm sure you did. It'd be weird if not to. You've rated this either a 4, 4.5, or a 5. So above 4. Or 4 and above.
Is it like a dramedy? Is it like drama comedy?
Yes.
Okay, we're getting somewhere.
That was the genre above comedy.
We're getting somewhere.
Yeah. That was question 6, so you still got plenty to go.
Is it a male director?
Yes. So there's 2 directors. One's male, one's female. They're not like
they're nobodies.
They might be. They're not nobodies, but they're not like a well-known name.
Got it. Okay, that helps.
Yeah.
That can make me check off a lot of people, so that actually helps.
There you go. That's a friendly extra for you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, because I feel like I can kind of avoid guessing some of the more popular directors that I would probably be thinking of. Okay, a drama comedy. Does it? I don't know why my mind is going to this movie. I don't think that's what this is, but is Toni Collette in it? Is it Little Miss Sunshine?
It is Little Miss Sunshine.
Fuck yeah.
Holy fuck. You got Well done.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Getting better
well
at
done.
this.
Is it little? Yeah, nice work. Well done. Holy smokes. Yeah.
How many questions was that?
That was your 9th question is it Little Miss Sunshine? That was fucking killer. How'd you get there?
I don't know. My mind was like, okay, if it's a drama, true drama with comedy, I went to the early 2000s. I was like thinking pre-2010, and I don't know the director of that movie.
Yeah.
It just popped in. I don't know. I was like, oh, you love Toni Collette. So maybe
the greatest actress of all time. Just putting it out there.
Came to me.
Holy smokes, well done. That was very impressive. Very impressive to watch. Yeah. It came out in 2006. I love Little Miss Sunshine. You've given it 4.5. So that's why I just wanted to double check. But yeah, that movie is fantastic. And it is a dramedy, right? It's a drama first.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I meant. It's like there's comedic elements because there's some parts that are hilarious. Like the relationship with the granddad and Abigail Breslin, I think, is hilarious. But the drama is definitely the forefront.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that cast is insane. And also, I've seen people talk about it as a coming of age as well, which I feel like there's usually can be, I don't know. I think it's more just drama, but
I agree.
Definitely has comedy.
Yeah, it has coming of age elements, but it's
Yes,
much more of just like a family drama film.
exactly.
I agree. Nice one, Ash. That was very impressive. For next week, again, please watch Vertigo to finish off our month of Alfred Hitchcock. But until then, I'm Harry, that's Ash. All the links and shit are in the bio. You know where to follow us. Please do. We're almost at 100 YouTube subscribers, which to a lot of people doesn't seem like a lot. To us, that's a lot. That's a lot of motherfuckers that click a button. So really appreciate every one of you. But until then, I'm Harry, that's Ash. Love, Death, and Movies. We'll see you at the movies.